Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 6 of season 2 of One Punch Man. And in this particular case, I was much more pleased with this episode than I was last week's, which, if you saw the video discussing last week's episode, I very much felt it was like the first overall misstep for this season, at least for my own personal tastes, because it was so much all over the place, you know, cutting back and forth between Saitama in the martial arts tournament and then the monsters that were wreaking havoc on the city and, you know, lesser known heroes that we really aren't invested in and aren't that familiar with, frankly, and at least in my case, didn't really care about one way or the other. It was all sort of a mishmash, a hodgepodge of all these different things back and forth, back and forth. And I feel like this episode was much more on point, you know, putting the focus on the characters that I actually am invested in. You know, Genos wreaking all kinds of havoc, taking these monsters to task for the most part. He apparently has his ass handed to him in sort of a surprise, you know, toward the end of that stint, but he was kicking all kinds of ass, and it was awesome seeing him playing such a formidable role in this episode, where he's been much more understated in season 2 thus far. You know, just sort of, he was at the martial arts tournament waiting to see you know, what Saitama was going to do, and but he gets the call about the monsters, and he goes and he kicks all kinds of ass until he has his own ass effectively handed to him. And this episode had, you know, all kinds of references to characters that we were already familiar with in season 1 coming back for all intents and purposes, which was great. You know, Tornado, Fubuki's elder sister, though much more diminutive in size and everything, also kicking all kinds of ass, and it's her first appearance in season 2 thus far. It was really awesome seeing her again, and, you know, dealing with that S&M lady, with like the brainwashing, mind-controlling whip and whatever like that. It was awesome seeing her, you know, tucking tail and running, and getting just slaughtered by Tornado and everything, and her getting dismissive about Fubuki's, you know, sort of entourage and whatever like that. Keep them out of my way. Tell them to stay out of my way. All that kind of stuff. And not only that, but like Snake Bites Snack is back, and, you know, I loved the flashback of his encounter with Saitama in season 1, you know, brought a smile to my face and everything. And whereas we have these references, I think you could say that the sort of pinnacle of the episode is much more depth being built up of Suryu, you know, who is tentatively going to be going up against Saitama in this martial arts tournament at some point. And it was just really interesting, you know, like how quickly they were editing past all of these bouts, but then putting the focus on Suryu and his kind of thinking, you know, because of course when Saitama is in there as Taranko, once again he dispatches somebody with one hit, one flick of the wrist, because the guy like put his hand on his head, you know, his big orange afro, his head of hair, not wanting to mess it up or potentially signal anyone that he's not who he says he is. So he just sends this guy packing, you know, and so all of a sudden Suryu was like, well, hey, I guess I'm going to do that from now on too. I'm just going to take people out in one kick or one punch and whatever like that, because that's now who, you know, Suryu is angling toward. He wants at Saitama or Charanko. You know, I thought it was interesting too that we had Sourface or Sourpuss, whatever the hell his name is. We've seen him like 3 episodes in a row or whatever, and I'm still flip-flopping back and forth. Is it Sourface or Sourpuss? I'm gonna have to write it down at some point, memorize it. But the point being, he wins his, you know, matchup, his bout, and I was kind of like, you know, secretly in the background cheering for him, like, you know, good on you. Just the whole episode, like, you know, there's not a whole hell of a lot to really say about it, other than that I really enjoyed it. I thought it was much more well handled, well paced, and structured as far as going back and forth, bounding back and forth between Genos kicking monster ass and calling over to Fubuki, you know, following up with her from where we left off, and having Tornado making her grand debut. And of course, toward the end, if you stayed after the credits, we had this big reveal of the Monster King Orochi, and I you know, that's resounding to me because, of course, there has been that overhanging question, who or what is the big bad going to be? Is it going to be Garo? Is it going to be, of course, Suryu? Or is it going to be this now Orochi? Or are they all going to be working in tandem together? Are heroes and Garo, are they going to have to get together to take down Orochi? What is the Monster Association after. We don't really get any sort of answer in this episode yet, and I'm really wondering. I spoke about my speculations as to maybe they just want equality. They want their fair share and a fair stake and everything, to be treated as equals, monster rights and whatever like that. I don't know. It sounds stupid enough to work in this universe, that kind of thing. But we don't know. We don't know as yet what their purpose is, in doing this and wreaking havoc as they are. And but now we see that there is, in fact, a big penultimate leader. And is he going to be the big bad? Is it going to be Garo? Is it going to be Suryu? Are we going to see a sort of fledgling, maybe semi-reluctant, teaming up of Saitama and some of these characters to take down this foe, or what? I really have no idea. And that's part of the excitement of this second season, especially as someone who hasn't read the source material. This is exactly why I avoided it in all the years since season 1. I didn't want to be spoiled for the inevitable follow-up season of anime. And of course, yes, it's not perfect as far as the animation goes. There were some shots of Genos where his head sort of looked a little oblong, very much akin to Saitama in previous episodes. And when you saw the little cartoony version of Tornado, when confronted with Fubuki toward the end of the episode, it was a little jarring. Also, they showed Saitama in sort of a cartoony when Sourpuss or whatever the hell his name is, is like, you didn't see my match, and Saitama's like, oh, I was in the bathroom. It looked a little jarring the way they characterized him in animation in that segment. And so it's not the best animation, granted, especially as compared to the first season. I did think the more actiony battles in this episode, while not necessarily choreographed, were much better than some of what we've seen thus far in certain episodes in season 2. But still, it's not quite on par visually with the first season. That goes without saying. But at least for my taste, the story and the characterization and the humor are really why I'm here in the first place. And as long as that is staying sort of uniformly resounding and entertaining and gripping, I mean, as long as it keeps up that momentum, I'm going to be still watching it and eating it up, with bated breath. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 6 of season 2 of One Punch Man, if you've seen it as well, if you enjoyed it as much as I did, if you had any of the same sort of qualms or whatever like that, distaste for the animation, whether that's even your primary focus, or if you're more like me and you just want to see a fun, entertaining, resounding story and the quirky characters and such like that. Anything goes in the comments below. Love it or hate it, as long as you are respectable and sharing your own opinion and are respectful of others if they happen to disagree. And if you enjoyed this video and would like to consider supporting my channel, please have a look at my PayPal support link posted both in the description as well as the comments below. It affords you opportunities very much akin to Patreon, where you can set up a monthly recurring contribution, a one-time only kind of thing. You can send me a personal message with any contribution you send my way, requesting topics I may discuss in the future, ask for shoutouts, or make recommendations of things I may check out, and would inevitably shout you out down the line if I happen to discuss. And anything you saw fit to send my way would be 2 thumbs up for me in securing my longevity on YouTube for the foreseeable future. And so yeah, until the next one, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.